Okay, let's get things set up, shall we? First off, let's go in here and get the first pull. Oh. Let's start with, yes, that has to be moved, actually. There. And then let's do, yes. Is this still? Yes, it is. There. Let's switch this to live. So all that comes in. Finger hurts. Weird. What's up? Okay, got that working. Things are up. Things on. Stuff is posted. Move the mic over here. Take a drink. All right. Well, hope everybody has enjoyed their holiday for what it's worth, even if all you did was just get a day off of work. You know what I mean? Use it. Mine was pretty good. Didn't do anything too crazy. I don't really go to fireworks the way that I used to. I don't know. Maybe it's some old man crap. But, like, I used to go to fireworks shows. Then when I was growing up, we got to a point where we started going out of state, and we would go out of state and we would buy fireworks, and we'd come back and there was a private lake, and it was like a sports lake or whatever, like for fishing and stuff like that. And so that area was caged in. It was part of like a sportsman club or whatever, and my dad was part of that, and my family used to meet there. And we would fish on the lake, and we would have a big cookout, and we'd do our own fireworks at the end of the night. And that was like a big thing for me. That became like the thing. I started inviting my friends. Our group got pretty big. Before you knew it, we were all taking these trips and buying fireworks and adding to the pot and everything like that. And, you know, whatever we didn't use, we'd save over for the next year and just keep adding to it. And I mean, it was like a really big thing. Like fireworks was part of that. Then a couple family members passed away. We stopped going to the lake. Everybody kind of split. The next thing you know, that was the end of that. I tried to go back to seeing fireworks shows. It didn't really have the same impact. Like, it's neat to see the fireworks and everything like that, but I mean, especially where I am, you're out on the river. It's super hot. Most of the time, it's like ridiculous hot. It wasn't that bad this year. I probably would have liked it this year. But like other years, we've gone and it's been like sweltering up in the 90s, humidity around 80% or something like that. It's just abysmal. And then like you're out there and you're in the sun, and like there's so many people in my area. I live in a fairly big city. I'm not going to call it, it's not Chicago by any means, but it's big enough that when the fireworks are over, trying to leave is this huge thing. I mean, we're talking hours. Like, if you want to fight the traffic, that's fine. Maybe you're looking at an hour and a half to get home. If you don't want to fight the traffic, if you want to wait for it to die down so that you can, you know, drive like a person, that is nightmare. That's a nightmare. You have like an extra 2 hours on the river before you go to your car to start leaving. I mean, it's massive. It's massive. And I don't want to deal with that. And I haven't wanted to deal with that. And my kid doesn't really care for the whole fireworks display. Like, it messes up her sinuses. She has sinuses kind of like mine. So that's true too. After fireworks on the river, the soot and like the sulfur and everything is just like in the air, and I'm sick for like 2-3 days afterwards. So the 4th has become less fireworks and things like that for me, and more like we do cookouts and things like that. And that's what we did. We went to my wife's family, and we had like a cookout in the morning, and then we went to my mom and we had a cookout. And then after the show here, I'm going to go to my dad's. We're going to have a cookout. So that's really what it is. It's putting a bunch of weight on with burgers and brats and dogs, and like it's a lot. It's a lot of eating, a lot of pie, a lot of like, that's what it is. But it's not terrible. I'd almost prefer that at this point in time. There's part of me that misses the whole fireworks thing. I saw that where I live, it seems like my community is starting to do like fireworks shows, and that didn't used to be a thing when I was growing up. There was no fireworks show here where I was. Now it seems like there is. The last 2-3 years, I've noticed that there are fireworks close enough that like I could probably walk to them. Like, I can't see them 100% because the trees in my area are in my way, but it's close enough that I know that it's in literal walking distance that I could go over there and watch a show. So maybe I'll do that next year. It's in the back of my mind, maybe to try to go to that, because it looked like it was a pretty good show last night. Like, I could see part of it over the trees and everything. And so yeah, that's where my whole 4th thing goes. I enjoy it, but like, my 4th is usually pretty simple anymore. Like I said, it's more cookouts and just, talking to my dad and stuff like that. It's not quite the spectacle it used to be for me when I was growing up. My 4th was annoying. Haven't slept well since I got home from the hospital. These fireworks are extra annoying this year. I bet. I bet. I didn't really celebrate the 4th of July. Just made a taco salad and binge watched some stuff. When I got home from my stuff on the 4th, while I could hear the fireworks and see some of them out here, I beat Spider-Man 2. Finally. Been working on that for a minute. Finally beat it. And then after I beat Spider-Man 2, I finished the Justice League. So I'm now on Justice League Unlimited. And yeah, that was what I did at night before I went to sleep. 4th was weird this year. I live in a rural area, and didn't see a single firework. We usually get folks shooting guns, and I didn't even hear any of that. It was unfortunately not so quiet in my neighborhood. It was almost all night, firework after firework, sparkle after sparkle. Bring me some food then. Honestly, I wish I could. I'm being serious. I kind of wish that we lived close enough to get some more stuff done, in all honesty. But we might be figuring that out. Happy 4th of July. Weird question. Do your Wonder Woman have ears? Because some don't. Actually, now that you mention it, I guess that makes some kind of sense. I don't know if it's a completely weird question, but I could look over at my Wonder Woman shelf and I could see that my World War II We Can Do It Rosie Riveter one, it's Bombshell's Wonder Woman. She does not have ears sculpted, as far as I can tell. Her hair goes over, so they didn't bother to sculpt it. My first appearance Wonder Woman does have ears. Looks like my 80s Wonder Woman. One of them that's holding my American flag does have ears sculpted. The other one does not. My warrior, the end of world frozen earth thing, that Wonder Woman does have ears. It is an interesting question because depending on how they decide to run her hair, sometimes they don't sculpt her ears. But actually, that's an interesting question in general for a lot of action figures is how many of the girls do we have on the shelf where they allow the hair to like go this way so they don't even bother sculpting ears. I'll bet you a lot of figures, now that you just said that, don't have ears. I bet you a lot more than we stop to think about don't have ears. Oh yeah, Bill, did you see the McFarlane Elite Edition Kratos yet? I did not. Is it from the game? Well, duh. Oh. Let's see. Oh, okay. If this is it, which I imagine that it is, I don't care about this. I don't hate it, but like my ideals mind, because I stopped playing. I played 1, 2, and 3, then I played the 2 for the PSP, and then I've kind of not played since then. So my version of him is from that era, and this is not really that. It's the best way I can explain it. It's a decent version, it really is, but it's not the one that I would go out of my way to own, so it's cool. It looks like it's done pretty well, but I don't think I'm jumping on this one. But I did hear that there's more than one of them going to be done. So I guess I'll wait and see how that happens. Yeah, I bet. That would be something I would have to remember. Absolutely. Let's see. Okay, so we have that. So let's set this up. Okay, so here goes. I'm almost wasting my time, but we'll do it. Was I right? Yeah. Thought for sure. Is that what this is? It is. Yeah. We're gonna hit this button, even though I feel like I'm pretty much wasting my time with this vote, but vote. And while that goes, I'll do the storage. Reach into a box over here and see what we get. All right. And I have, looks like a Pop Mega Man. It's a Pop Mega Man. It's Pink Mega Man. It's, what was the Pink Mega Man? I don't remember what the pink one was. Like, to be fair, as if we can remember every single color Mega Man and what that power was specifically. That's kind of asking a lot of us in general, but yes, that's a Pop, that's a Mega Man, he's pink. There is no way this is staying in the collection at all. Why? Well, I don't collect pops. Pops are like a very weird thing. Everybody makes this weird assumption that everybody likes pops. What am I talking about? I'm a guy that does not care for pops at all. I just don't care. You look at that whole do you see a pop? Where's the pops? I don't care. I don't like them. I don't want them. I don't need them. I have no desire to have them. Nothing. Nothing about them honestly appeals to me. Nothing. However, I keep ending up with pops. Why? Because, hey, it's Christmas or birthday or so-and-so celebration. Bill needs a thing, doesn't he? Shouldn't we get Bill a thing? Oh, Bill likes figures and toys. Pops show up. I don't blame anybody that has gotten me a pop, but I would say 90% of every pop I get stays on the shelf for maybe a year. And then it gets out of the way for something else. Like, cool, a Batman. But I would rather put a McFarlane Batman on the shelf before a pop. Cool, a Mega Man. Bill likes Mega Man, that's Mega Man, that's pretty cool. But I would rather put Jada Mega Man on the shelf. Every time. Every single time. Hey, cool. Like some show that I like that has a pop or whatever. Cool. Is it? I mean, it's just like, yeah, your mind fills in the blanks because like they all have this like dead expression face, so that they don't actually have to pay for likenesses and stuff like that. You know, sure. But like, I've never been the guy that like actually actively seeks out pops. I bought very few of them. I bought a Red Sonja because I've never had a Red Sonja on the shelf at that time, and I found one, and it was during the closing of our Toys R Us. It was going out of business. There's a bunch of stuff on sale in the back of the store. I found a pop. It was a Red Sonja. I was like, oh, I've never had a Red Sonja. That would be cool. And I bought it as a placeholder. And we've actually talked about that on this channel, that placeholders are not really good ideas for anybody. For anybody interested in collecting, placeholders are kind of a bad idea because of what they really are and what they kind of represent. They're not doing you any favors, realistically. They're kind of hurting you in the long run. So, since they are kind of a bad idea, anytime that I've invested in pops in that way, I've had to come back and go, oh, that was really stupid. And I have. This, I'm pretty sure, was more than likely bought for me at some point in time. And I appreciate the sentiment. I do. And I've seen time and time again where people go, oh, well, you shouldn't get rid of it if it was like bought for you. To that argument, because I've heard it many times before, oh, somebody bought that for you, you shouldn't get rid of that. If that was true, you would have everything that had ever been bought for you ever, from the start of forever all the way up till now. You don't. You don't. And here's the thing about that in general. When we get a thing, if it was bought and it was thought out, or it was from somebody very specific, or it has a very, very real connotation as to why it was bought. You were at a fair. It was the first time you'd ever gone to this fair with somebody. This was one of your early dates or something like that. she, he, they bought a thing. This is a different kind of idea. There's a memory attached to it. Random Mega Man, bought for random holiday by random person because Bill likes Mega Man. That's an item. It doesn't hold the same. Now, if this had a story attached to it, like a real story, that would be different. But it doesn't. I think people need to be careful about tying themselves to objects and not memories, as I've argued many, many, many times here. And as people have been confused, sometimes even when they find my show, they think that I'm doing toy reviews, and I'm not. I'm sharing fandom. I'm sharing a hobby. I'm sharing memories. These are kind of toy podcasts that just happen to feature toys that then move us into memories and concepts and topics. I think that's important because, as I've said before many, many, many times, everything in here has a story, a memory, a reason. And if it doesn't, then it's got to go. This, I saw somebody in the comments say that this is Rush stuff. Pink. I thought that the Rush stuff was like a reddish color or something. It could be this. I don't remember. The fact that I don't remember shows you that I don't have a huge connection to Pink Mega Man. And if it was Rush, why didn't it come with the Rush dog? It didn't. Like, that would have been neat if he was on the Rush dog or a Rush coil or something. That would have made a lot more sense for this pop. It's not. So they didn't put the effort in. I can't tie this to a specific game. I can't tie it to a specific memory. I can't tell you when I got this. I can't explain if this was a holiday or a gift or whatever this was. I can't tell you if maybe this was from a random grab bag of, hey, you buy a bag and you get 4 or 5 things at a convention. Maybe that's where this came. I don't know. That immediately puts this in the leaves my collection pile of stuff. I used to be okay with buying knick-knack stuff for a very weird reason, and one that has died on me since then. I don't think it makes sense to buy stuff. This stuff, oh look, it's a little Ranger helmet. Cool. I'm going to put it on my shelf. Now, if you're collecting at any level that I'm collecting at, you're going to figure out very fast that this little knick-knack thing that you don't have any tie to whatsoever, you don't care about it, it's not the best version, you just look at it and go, neat. I bought that with money. This is pointless to you. If you want to buy a little thing for your desk at work, neat. There it is. Or a workstation or something like that. Maybe that makes sense. Maybe that's cool. That's fun. If you want to buy this little thing and then take a spot away from an area on the shelf, which, by the way, space is prime real estate when you're talking collecting. The space you have will determine what you can and cannot have at all in your collection. You want a thing? You got to have a place to put a thing. And if this guy, who's taking the spot of 2 Marvel Legends because of his big head, is standing up here, you just lost 2 Marvel Legends spots. That's the reason why buying a Dr. Octopus or a Lizard Man or a Hulk or whatever is such a big deal, because they're going to take up space. You want a turtle van? You know how many turtles could have stood where that van is? you better have a real reason for wanting the van and a real place to put it and real space. And not all of us have full finished basements. Some people have huge collection spaces, some don't. For some people, this is literally a space filler because you have so much space that your area where you're collecting looks barren and it looks off to you. And so you buy little things to fill out the space. I would argue even then, don't get into this habit. Allow the space to be barren. Allow it to be empty. I still have 3 empty shelves over on the other side of the room. There's nothing on them. They're literally like storage space right now. There's some old boxes that are sitting in one space. Another is holding a couple of statues that I intend to sell. They're basically empty shelves. I think we need to get comfortable with empty shelves. Your collection should have purpose, not space filling. You will fill that space. Promises. And you should be in no rush to do it. Don't let YouTube and this make you feel like you're behind somehow. Collecting is not necessarily about the accumulation of stuff. I realize that is part of it. But let's be honest about the situation as well. If this stuff has no meaning, then, like, why? I think it's important to allow that space to exist and not be afraid of the fact that it's there. You don't have to fill the shelf out. You have to make sure that the items that go there are worth it. I think that's an attitude that every collector should adopt. Because these little space-filling things, if you're into pops, great. But for those of us that aren't, for those of us that are trying to curate a real collection with like real substance, that everything actually matters, these little things here, they're not helping that situation. And so this video doesn't just talk to us as collectors, but also the gift givers. Sometimes we will not be offended if you ask us some of the figures that we're looking for. Would we know that you're probably going to get us a figure now? Sure, we would. We wouldn't care. Maybe ask for our Amazon wish list. It's a link. We can send it to you. There's probably 50 different things in there at any given time that we have on a list of might buys. Things that we've considered and we've added to our shopping list, but we've never actually pushed the button on it. Ask for that list. Ask us what we're missing. Come in and look. Watch this like a show and go, oh, he said that he's looking for this or wants this or kind of thinks about this. Check over the shelf and see what somebody has and realize that they're sitting within a very specific budget bracket. Get them something above that bracket. Buy a Mondo that you know they're not going to afford or something of that nature. There are options out there that far exceed this trinket thing that's just going to like be moved out of the collection. Now, if your collector likes Funkos, buy them Funkos. But I've noticed this is a catch-all solution for so many people. Just buy them a Funko. Hey, they like Mega Man, they like Dragon Ball Z, they like this, they like that, they want a little Funko. Do they? This guy's out of the collection. Interesting. Okay. I was not expecting anything to tie on this vote. It did. That surprises me. Okay. We'll go with it. Yeah, there's a leak of an OG Kratos and Elite Edition Zeus in production. I want the OG. That would be fine. That one, I will buy. I'll buy into that one, no question. That's awesome. That's the one I want. Fantastic. Personally, would love to see him do Ares, as his design in the first game was cool. Rush stuff. I saw that you said that, and I am curious now. No. This is not what I was what I was hoping. I put in what was Pink Mega Man, and I got a bunch of answers that are not right. Not what I thought. I keep coming up with that Pink Punch Miru or whatever, and that's not what I'm looking for at all. Pico Hammer Mega Man? No. Let's see if this helps at all. I see Battle Network. You killing me here. Why is this acting so tough to find? This shouldn't be hard to find at all. Quick Boomerang. That's what it is. Found it. Pink Mega Man, most famous, is the Quick Boomerang. He was white and pink. It also says here there is a GameStop exclusive Mega Man Quick Boomerang Pop. That has to be what this was. Number 102. There, I found it. It also says that there are alternate palettes in fighting games. I assumed there's a Mega Girl, Captain N, the Game Master, 1989. And it also says that in Mega Man X Legacy Collection, Devastating in Pink. In Mega Man X Legacy Collection, players can earn an achievement named Pretty Devastating in Pink by taking out bosses with fully charged pink-colored spiral. That's not. And then yeah, I just yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's Funko Pop Quick Boomerang. Interesting. Hey, the whole way they do the Mega Man costumes, there was no way I was going to lock that down from memory. There's no way, absolutely no way at all. So yeah, there we go. Mega Man. We're not talking about that here today. Because I have mixed feelings on it in general. Console games. PlayStation pulled the trigger, going all digital. Now I know this would happen. This doesn't mean I ain't pissed about it, because I am. I get it. I get the outrage. I understand. We're not going into heavy detail here at all on that topic, because we're not. That's a very big topic, and one that my mind has been spinning with for a while now, because I keep hearing people that are posting their stuff online and saying things about piracy and blah 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 and everything else, and they're basically their outrage about it. And while I can understand to an extent, I've seen this coming. I've been arguing this for years. I've talked about this multiple times on different shows. And also, some of the arguments are from people living in bubbles. I see people saying things like, we'll pay full price on games forever now. No. Oh, well, now with the digital market, 20-year-old games will easily end up being like $80 or blah, blah, blah. You can buy Shining Force for $1 on Steam. You can buy Shining Force 2 for $1 on Steam. There's sales everywhere all the time. All the time. Digital sales. There's a digital sale on the PlayStation market right now where things are like 75% off. Like right now, like this very second, right now. Hundreds of games. Yes, there's something to be talked about with digital distribution and the idea that they could take something from you at any time. Yes, that's an argument to be had. Yes, there's an argument to be had that this is very true, but also if you lived in the console bubble, this is like shocking to you. But if you ever branched out and played PC or anything like that, we haven't had physical games since like I installed Diablo years ago, Diablo 2, so that I didn't need a disc. I had no disc for Diablo 2. That's a long time ago. Shivers 2, I didn't have a disc. Redneck Rampage, I didn't have a disc. Total Annihilation, I didn't have a disc. Command and Conquer, I didn't have a disc. Like, I don't feel like I've had physical media for my PC. The last physical game I bought for my PC was Final Fantasy VIII. Yep, that's what it was. It was Final Fantasy VIII. So, like, there are parts of it I fully understand. I need time to go over my thoughts if I'm ever going to do this, if I'm ever going to, like, talk about this in a real video. I don't have those thoughts, and I'm not going to accumulate them in real time, so we're not going to go into this. All I can tell you is that your cause for concern is valid. Your anger is clouding the way that you critically think. And until your shock of this moment has died down, you're not ready to discuss it critically with all the ins and outs, benefits and not benefits to the scenario. And you're not being fully realistic about certain things. Like, if you're truly mad, maybe it's time for you to leave the console infrastructure. Maybe it's time to jump PC. But then again, if physical media is the only thing you cared about and putting a box on your shelf, then computer wouldn't help you at all. This is a complicated subject. I'm not doing it right now. You don't like the Funko Funk you just so we out here desperate for Marvel Legends like that. Two guys in Chicago swiped an $80 Gamerverse juggernaut. I would say, just like any other consumer product that exists, People see a price tag and they don't have the money. That sucks. It sucks to not have the money. Because then you have a major FOMO, and the money does cause that. And some people want a thing physically, and we've been watching this since the days of Cabbage Patch Kids. Like, you would get beat up in the parking lot so that somebody could take a Cabbage Patch Kid home to their kid. You would see people fighting in the aisles over Tickle Me Elmos. We've watched swipes where, like, you know, people take the figure and then they take the figure out and they put a different figure in there and then they put that on the shelf. We've been watching swipes for years. That's nothing new. We know that things get stolen from Walmart on a regular basis. Try to be tricky. You know, they take all their stuff. They put a figure at the bottom of the cart. They walk through the checkout. They put everything up there. That person loads up the bags. They step off to the side as if they have to go into as they have to go to the bathroom. They take that figure out and they put it up and they put that into one of their bags because they bought 3 bags of groceries or whatever. Now they got a free figure with their groceries. You watch this all the time. You can actually watch it in real time if you know what you're looking for. You see people steal food. You see people steal and conventions. I'm surprised we don't hear about this kind of stuff all the time. Like, all the time. It actually does shock me. I feel like this is something we should hear about. I wonder how many people you could talk to, conventions, guys that actually like sell at conventions on the regular, how often inventory when they go to a place and they have like the boxes that are out and whatnot, and like people are going through the boxes looking for old G.I. Joes and whatnot. How many times do those crates come home and items are unaccounted for and then they ended up losing money? It has to be regular. Like, it has to be regular. I'm surprised we don't see this all the time. I really am. I think Mega Man 2, for like the 1, 2, and 3 Rush items. Well, those weren't Rush. Those were just the items. I know what you're talking about, though. Wasn't he like red, though? Isn't that a red? No, maybe not. Maybe he was like a weird brown. I don't remember. Valentine Mega Man. It's possible. It's possible that it was a random Christmas thing because Scott would come over and he would have like a bunch of stuff in like a box and whatnot, and he'd give away gifts and everything like that. And he did that every Christmas. Christmas is like a big thing for him and everything. It's very possible. If you played Xenoverse 3 on the PC, you paid over $100. If you played any kind of online game, Final Fantasy 14 or anything like that, you've paid well over $100 over time. I'm sorry, man. I know you're mad. Diablo 3 was my last disc-based PC game. Before that, it was King's Quest 8. So you had a physical Diablo 3. See, I had Diablo 3 digital. I know that. And I remember I bought the code thing for Diablo 2. I did not have a disc. I had just the little icon and you would double click it and it would work. You don't see people steal food. Now, random stuff all the time. I used to go to Walmart with a guy, and he used to blow my mind. He would eat lunch at the Walmart during his lunch break and never pay for anything. He would walk down the aisle, he'd pick up like a chocolate milk, he'd open it, he'd drink it while he was walking down one of the other aisles, he'd put it on the shelf, and then he'd like grab one of like the little Lunchables or some shit like that off of one of the things, and he'd open that, and then he'd just eat those, and I'd be like, dude, you can't do that. And he's like, oh, they never say anything. And then he'd like walk over and like just kind of like put it on one of the counters or something like that, and then he'd just leave. He did it all the time. Like just ate there. Like it was wild. And every time I was always the one guy that was like worried that we were like going to get caught or something like that. I'd get like uncomfortable. I'd have to like walk ahead of him or whatever. Cause I'd go there and I'd order from that deli thing. And then I'd have to wait a little while. And he would even do it sometimes. He'd like go over, grab a milk, come over and like stand next to me while I was getting the thing from the deli or whatever. And you know, where you're like, hey, give me the chicken nuggets or whatever. And while I'm waiting for my stuff, he's just sitting there drinking his chocolate milk. And I remember one time even, he finished it, and he's like, excuse me, can you throw that away? And he handed it to the lady behind the counter. She was like, oh, yeah. And just took it and threw it away. Nobody asked him about it. That used to blow my mind. But I guess with the blatancy of what he was doing, it just looked like there was nothing wrong with what he was doing because you feel like you would be at least a little bit, but he wasn't. He's just like, hey, can you throw that away for me? Oh, yeah, of course. I don't know. Sometimes my mind goes back to that randomly. And I think about it. And every now and then when I'm walking around a Walmart and I find like an open soda on like one of the counters or something like that, because I see that like it'll be in another aisle. There'll be like an open soda put somewhere and like half of it is gone. My mind goes back to that dude. And I think, oh, somebody was just drinking this. Somebody just took that and drank like half of it and then decided that they were done shopping. And believe it or not, my mom used to be one of those people that would go and she'd walk in and she'd like go over to the little thing where all like the candies were. And they used to have the scoops where you'd put them in the bags yourself or whatever. And she'd just like go get the raisins. She'd get one of those little bags. She'd go get the chocolate covered raisins. She'd put them in the bag. And then as we walked around the store shopping, she would eat them all. And then she'd like just crunch up the bag or whatever and put it in her pocket. And I remember even back then when I was a kid, I'd be like, you have to pay for that. And she'd be like, they wouldn't have put them out there if they didn't want me to eat them. Oh my gosh. Childhood memories, I guess. Oh, that's the big guy right there. We're also going to need this guy because there was a tie. So we're going to end up needing both of these. I know that Switch 2 has been doing those game key cards or what I call code in a box. I'll never buy them. I'm old school. If the game ain't on the disc or the cartridge, I don't buy it, plain and simple. Well, then you're done gaming. I know you're mad, but you're angry in a point right now where you're arguing out of your irritation. So we're not doing it. I'm sorry. Keep posting. We're not doing it. We're not going to have... I will have a debate with you about the good and bad sides to this. Because there are certain good sides to this. I've been on PC a long time now. I have a lot of games, well over 280 in my library, and none of them are physical. There's downsides to that. But I also have 2 bookshelves of actual physical media. And there's downsides to that. Nothing is perfect. Absolutely nothing is perfect. There's an argument to be made for holding something in your hand. I won't argue that. There's an argument to be made for convenience. I won't necessarily argue that. But I won't argue with somebody on this topic currently, because it's very fresh and people are very mad and people are arguing out of passion, not out of their actual thought processes. Mephisto is way more important than digital video games right now. He just is. Oh, this guy's got weight. Are you ready? You ready to try this one? Mephisto. Holy crap. Look at this. let's go over the first thing about this. There are people already, you see it every time one of these are released, he should have been retail. Let me ask you, when you go in and you buy a figure, and the figure is this, and it's on the shelf, and it's at about eye level, sits about right there. There's 20 or 30 of these all the way across the middle section. And a good portion of that middle section, yes, we have peg warmers, but a good portion of the middle section is bought out. It's gone. It's bought. Then you look down below that middle section. And there's packs that are like this. They're on the bottom area. They're about $60. They're a little bit bigger. They're 2 packs. And they're targeting a very specific collector. And they're just sitting there. And then look even further and find this monstrous thing. And I'm not even talking about the whole shoppers that cry about stuff like, remember, slave outfit Leia was banned from stores and yada yada, and people cried, and like, I'm not even talking about that argument. Stop following. Stop doing it, camera. I'm talking about the size of this, the cost of this. Had you seen this in a store, this would have been like a $90 drop. How long would this have just sat there, stealing inventory space? This is not a retail item. You'll remember when they did the Castle Grayskulls, when they brought those back and they put them in the stores. Do you remember going through Target and seeing how many of them were just sitting there? Do you remember how they started having to clearance them out to get them off the shelf because they were $85 castles? They were large toys. They were about $85. They were on the shelf and they were taking real space. And people were not buying them. I bought one. And I know a lot of other people bought them. But there were a lot of people that played the waiting game. And I saw that people were buying like 2 or 3 castles when they went on clearance because people were getting them for like $40. And then they were like buying like 2, 3, 4 of them at a time so that they could paint them. And I saw a lot of cool projects with that. One that I personally would have loved to have done had I been skilled enough to do it at the time. I saw people that were buying the Grayskulls and then repainting them, like some like painted them so that they were like very just modern paint, and that was pretty cool. But then I saw people that were trying things like, what did Grayskull look like before it started rotting? Like they painted it in that white and everything. That was really cool. I saw a couple of them that were like that. I saw people that were making their own anti-Eternia style ones where it was just like black and whatnot, and that was pretty cool. There were some cool ideas. None that I had the skill to do at the time, that's for sure. But neat stuff. But that's also a very specific kind of collector. This guy here does not go retail. It's not realistic. This guy is a made to order. And even after the made to order, I think he's available right now on Big Bad. I'm almost positive you can just go get him right now because they ended up with like so many of them. And I don't think they're selling fast. And if online is even having some trouble selling them off, then you're certainly not going to expect that a Walmart or Target was going to clear these off the shelf. And that's before we even get to the idea that some people would make the argument that he looks like a certain kind of thing. I don't abide that argument, but some people would make it, and I can't exactly argue against that concept, because when people do complain about some things, like when people were complaining about the Breaking Bad toys that were in the adult collecting sections at Toys R Us, and people were like, this is a place where I take my kids to buy toys. I shouldn't have to worry about... So yes, there would have been some complaints. I won't argue that. I 100% agree with it. But this guy is not a retail item. This guy's level of detail, I'm almost going to guarantee, I haven't opened him yet, I don't know, but I would assume, I'm going to make an assumption, after seeing Dragon Man, which was fantastic, and after getting the Sentinel, which also was a childhood fulfillment, this guy's going to be sick. He's going to be sick. He is not a retail item. He is a made-to-order. He's going to have a ridiculous amount of detail, I would assume. His throne is going to be an absolute centerpiece. He's going to be monstrous compared to other Marvel Legends that would stand beside him. And he's going to be an absolute standout for the shelf. Is he going with the Marvel shelf? I don't know. I am in debate to put him with my Barbarians. But we'll see. He doesn't really belong with the Barbarians. But I mean, Kazar is with the Barbarians. So, like, maybe that's where he's going to go. I'm just saying, he's really cool, man. Let's look at the box. That's sick. Right there. That's cool. Am I getting that? I'm getting that. Yep. Side of the box the same. Front of the box there. Top, name, bottom, all the information stuff. Let's see him. I'll admit, part of me is mildly disappointed. You get used to the idea of things like Jada and whatnot, and even the simple things, like just having like a yellow X-Men like logo or something like that, but it's just like a white board. I will admit to being a little surprised and slightly disappointed that there was like nothing. However, instantly gratified that the box doesn't have any of those stupid twisty ties or tabs. It's just this. I can just unpack it. We have the throne and capes and everything in one box, and then the other box has the character and things of that nature. So let me unpack all of this, and then we're going to go through it. All right. So, let's go over a couple of things here. He comes with a skull. I don't know if this is just something they're giving us or if this has relevance. I honestly do not know. The base of the throne has skulls everywhere. So I don't know. Like, I know he can hold this. Is that just because that's cool? Or is there stuff I don't know? There's a very real possibility there's stuff I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about Mephisto other than what he is. You get the idea. I don't necessarily remember reading a whole bunch of books where he made real appearances. So yeah, skull. Cool. Not 100% on exactly what the idea is. We got this big giant sword. Very cool. We have this face where I like this quite a bit, actually. I like this like deal-making sleazy face. That is cool. That is absolutely brilliant. We have two grip hands. And then he comes with his expression hand. So more open grip hand, which I think is for the skull. And then a very open expression hand right here. Otherwise, we're seeing Marvel Legends level, articulation. He has deep butterflies, which is wild. It's wild to think they gave deep butterflies to Mephisto, and some of the other characters who like are known for like doing all these like acrobatics and whatnot, they didn't get them. It doesn't feel like he has lower articulation here, though. No way. Oh, no, it doesn't. Interesting. I think this pulls out. Matter of fact, I'm almost positive. I'm not going to do it right here until I research it a little bit. But like this right here is to replace this. So if you would prefer him have cloth goods, they did give you that option. Or you can keep him with this right here, which is the more rubberish material or whatever. I'm almost positive he doesn't seem to turn left and right. His lower abs scare me a little bit because I don't want to make a mistake and break what I just bought. I'm not going to manhandle it like that. Not right here. First off, otherwise everything is Marvel Legends articulation. I think there's a very mild wash because if you're noticing, he's red, but like there's minor detail that's popping out, or the shadows just really play off him well. But I don't know. I think there's an incredibly light. I'm not talking super detail. I'm talking light wash. Like almost two of the exact same color on top of one another, barely separated. Because I could see it like in the way his abs and everything catch the light. Maybe not, but I don't know. Because you could definitely see it on his face. I do like this face more. He also comes with the cape, which is the rubberized cape, which goes there and then clips into his back. And very much looks like this. It has that level of detail and everything. And then for those of us that don't want the rubberized cape, he has this. And this I take a little bit of issue with. Not much, but there's a little bit of issue here. So the back is very plain. But then the inside, they gave all this like weird texture thing too. I'm not sure why they did it here and not here. Because like, you could tell that there's detail on both sides. You see what I'm saying? That just feels weird to me that they only put that on this side, and specifically the inside. I feel like that almost would have made sense for that to be the part that was on the other way. So I don't know. Let me pop the head here. And put this cape on him. We'll put the deal head on. It does help because, I mean, this not being a wireframe, it's just going to lay there. That inside texture does help, but you kind of wish that you would have had it on the back here. Also, because it was folded, you're going to have to iron that out a little bit, or you're going to have to wait until it kind of sits natural. You're going to want this cape for him to sit down if you want the cape to be on him all the time, and it's probably a good idea to switch this out for this if you want him to sit on the throne. That probably makes sense. I wish there would have been like an instructional book on the inside. There wasn't. There was just this like little piece of paper which wasn't really instructions that I could think of. I tossed it to the side. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, it's not. It's just stuff. I would have preferred. I'm pretty sure that you pull the body. I'm almost 100% sure that you pull the body. I think there's a split right here. You pull the body, and then you flip this onto him. I'm almost positive that's what you do. But that's him. I'm not experiencing any trouble with the arms or anything like that. He's moving well. I'm not having any problems. He's Marvel Legends articulation. He'll sit. I won't have any problems with that. Yeah, you pull the body. Yep. I debated with myself for a little while. Look, there comes a point when you spend enough money on a figure and you have to go, should I test it? Put that there. Now the real question. I don't know if that's the back. That might be the back. This might be the front. Let me flip this. See it on this one, those little details are on both sides. So, like, see, that's the side that I was wrong. That's the side that has no details, and that's the side that has the details. I don't know why the cape, it almost feels like the cape is backwards. Like that should have been on the outside with the details. I'm not sure. Something about it just feels a little off. It feels weird. Let's pop this back in place. There we go. And that would be him with the soft goods. They're not as expressive. They're not wireframe. That's something to be called out. And I do feel like it's weird that we have the detail parts here on the outside and the detail parts on the inside, but not the outside. That feels weird, but I don't think that it's a deal breaker. This, for when he's standing up next to the throne, is probably a better idea. It's a little more expressive. It feels like it has more weight. So now, this thing right here is the back of the throne. This craziness right here. There's the throne. This should be as easy as just pushing it into place, making sure that is right. That is the back of the throne. Of course it is, because otherwise how would he sit? Push it into place. There it is. The seam line is there, but it's not anything like you'll know it's there, but I don't think it'll bother you. See it right there, the seam line? It doesn't really close up perfectly, but I don't know that it's anything that's like breaking my heart either. That is sick. That is so sick. We got to put him in it. Okay, hold on. I'll get him set up here. Let me put that foot here. Let me put this foot here. I'm going to kind of turn him. I want to do something with him here. Just a slight pose to get the idea. Very little effort pose here. But I want it to be like that before I show him real quick. Move his hand. His body should turn a little better, I would argue. But that would be him. I'd like to get that like this. So that he's kind of sitting there. I want him to kind of relax. I want him to like hold the skull. That is sick. I'm not saying you couldn't deal with a little bit of a better paint job. I'm not saying he couldn't have been a little better. Does he impress me like Dragon Man? No. Does he impress me like the Sentinel? Is he better than the Sentinel? No. So here's how I'm feeling about it. The Sentinel is the second. It's the second best. I think it's very cool. It's the size. It's the scope of the Sentinel. It's the fact that they built him to be a 97 cartoon comic book Sentinel. So he's perfect. He doesn't need all the details. He's exactly what he's supposed to be. He's perfect. I don't hate him at all. Dragon Man is a freaking work of art. Like, he's shockingly good. Now, Mephisto is done very well. He's very cool. I have very little reason to complain about him at all. And I'm not really complaining about him when I put him in third place. But comparatively to the other two, he's not a giant. And he's also very simple. Like, if he had come without the throne, he would be a complete waste of time. What am I saying here? The throne sells him. The throne, because look, regardless of what you want to do with your Mephisto, he's a red basic body. He has boots, he has wraps, he's red. Even with the high detail, you know what he would be? Red. Even if all of his muscles popped, red. People complain about the Spider-Man body when the webs aren't etched. When it's just a basic body that they can reuse 100 times. Red body. Nothing special. Red body. Head. Hands. Nothing special. Body. Nothing special. Legs. Nothing special. The fact that he has a cape. Cloth products. I'm still going to say nothing special. For one, I did make the argument that I think it's a little weird that you put your texture part here on the outside, and then on the inside, it wasn't there. That's fine for this part. For this part, it does feel weird that his cape right here has no real details, while the cape on the inside got all that texture marking. I feel like that's weird. I feel like that's backwards. It almost makes me want to rip the cape, flip it, and restitch it. Like it really does. I feel, or it should have been on both sides. I think that's a fair argument to make. The throne is masterful work. That is so cool. He's going to be absolute heavy metal on the shelf. I love that he can hold the skull. I like the head sculpt. I like the crazy hair. I like that nothing's necessarily in his way. I like that Conan is going to sit on this throne. You heard what I said. Like, I love this. It's done very well. It's good, but what makes him stand out is the fact that, one, he is Mephisto. When were we going to get this? He's a made to order. We got it. We got the throne with him. The throne, I would argue, is what sells him. He has the big giant sword. That is kind of cool. Sure. He's got a skull he can hold. That's kind of cool. Sure. I just dropped it on the floor. Let me get it there. I got it. I also got Lexi's hair. Cool. But overall, I would say that he is arguably the weakest of the made-to-order line so far. That's not discounting him. Do I feel like maybe he was a little bit overpriced? I would argue that I didn't have a problem paying for the Sentinel. I really did not. I would argue I didn't have a problem paying for Dragon Man. I really did not. Both of those prices, while being pricey, I was guaranteed my pre-order. I didn't have to rush. I wasn't worried about them canceling me at the last minute or something like that. And I knew that everybody would get it and it would not become a scalper's market thing. Okay. I would make the same argument for Mephisto. The only argument aside that I would make, was he worth basically $90? Everything said and done, shipping, handling, all that stuff. Aside from his novelty, I would argue that this made to order a little overpriced. I personally would have preferred him at a deluxer price point, but I need to be realistic. If you're going to sell the Jean Grey Phoenix at about $60, she's not as big as he is. She's not arguably as detailed as he is. The Firebird is cool, but it's one thing. It's just like the Firebird. It's not like the Throne. The Throne looks like there was probably a lot of work that was put into the Throne. There's a lot of paint and different things like that with the way the skulls are implanted and whatnot. The Throne is incredibly standout. It is the absolute centerpiece. The whole reason you buy this. The Throne by itself probably would have been a $30 standing alone. He probably would have been a deluxe with the capes and everything, probably sitting at about $40 without the Throne. Let's be honest. The cape, the hands, the two heads, the second set of capes, the loincloth. They probably would have taken that with the sword and everything. They probably would have called him deluxe and sold him as a big figure like a Hulk at $40. One could argue he's priced accurately, but because the other two were such big hitters, he feels more expensive. That's where I think my argument is. I think he doesn't feel like the price tag. But if I'm being fair and I'm breaking it down and I'm talking realistically as to what I know the other stuff has cost, and I know that this Throne probably would have been a $30 drop by itself, I've seen plastic and resin statues that don't have this level of detail that are sitting in stores right now, like FYE and whatnot, and this probably would cost $50, $60, $70 by itself. I know that. I know that. There's no doubt in my mind. I'm going to say he's fairly priced. He doesn't feel as fair as the other two. But the other two are such masterpieces. I think that's why. So I still don't think we have a loss in the made to orders yet. I think these are very, very solid figures. They are very cool. They cost what they cost. They are not retail pieces. You want them, you're going to pay for them. Are they worth it? One could argue, yes, I could make a case to tell you that their prices are fair comparatively to the other things that we would buy, the other things that we have bought. Can I argue that they feel as good? No. Of the three so far, I don't think we have a loss yet. I think he's the weakest. That is not a loss. I really got to preface that because I know some people are going to be like, I think he's trash and I would never pay that amount of money for that thing. That's great for you. I understand it. Some people, they're not going to pay the money to buy, and I get it. But you're talking to a guy that buys $90 Conan the Barbarians. Mephisto did not seem that much out of the realm for me. And if nothing else, I definitely wanted his chair. And if I'm going to kill myself in a warehouse 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, all the time, in 100 plus heat, I'm going to buy Mephisto. Okay? My $90 goes where it goes, and your $90 can go wherever your $90 go. And I don't think that I'm in the wrong for doing it. I'm more than happy with my purchase. Added to the shelf. I like him. Let's see here. Oh, enjoy your time. I don't think there's anything wrong with retro. I don't think there's anything wrong with going retro. That's fine. But I'm going to tell you this right now. I don't know how old you are. I really don't. And I don't know what your situation in life is. I really don't. I'm a 42-year-old man. I have all the retro I want in my life. There's nothing left for me to buy. Like, that's kind of true. There's very, very, very little. I go to things like GameStop, and I go to things like Mega Replay, and I walk down the aisles and I look at games and I go, because I already have all the Nintendo, all the Sega Genesis, all the Super Nintendo, all the PlayStation 2, all the Xbox that I want. I have the games that I grew up with. They're my comfort games. I have the games that I like to play. They're my games. I have the games that I go back to. I own them. I put them in from time to time. And I think maybe that's another reason that this doesn't affect me the way it's affecting some other people. I really do. Because, like, retro is fine. But retro, personally, is a historical curiosity, or retro is a nostalgic fulfillment. And I don't have a need to spend any more money in that category on games because I've got everything that I wanted. So that argument doesn't come across the chest for me at all. $90 for that, I wouldn't pay that because I think it's overpriced. I've made my argument. I don't have to justify it any further. And as I've said many times, my collection, mine. My money, mine. Your collection, yours. Your money, yours. Save it. I have Mephisto. You'll never have him. That's all I've got. Hasbro Pulse. Yes, he is on Hasbro Pulse. Time to turn up the volume, rock some AC/DC. Let's go with metal with Mephisto. Dude, he's so sick, though. That throne, man. He's a literal heavy metal cover, man. He's so good. He could be on the cover of Heavy Metal magazine. He is so cool. He really is. That throne is admittedly really cool. All sorts of display options with that thing. I'd love to see a customizer paint it up and really bring out the details. I agree. I agree. I think that you could still get a better paint job on it. I don't argue that at all. I think you're 100% right. You could place the skull on a spot at the base of the throne. Interesting. I'm like looking for it. There's not an area that stands out, like an indent or whatever. I mean, yeah, you could easily just put it on the ground or something like that. And like, I just put it on there. And if you hadn't seen me do it, you would probably think, like, does anybody know exactly where I put it? Like, it blends in well enough that if you hadn't watched me place it, so you could probably put this almost anywhere, and it's done so well that you probably wouldn't really notice it. See what I'm getting at? Like, that's pretty good work. That's really good that they matched this so well to the design, and it lays just flat enough because they didn't give it the jaw that it can sit almost anywhere and it feels like it makes sense, but he can also literally hold it in his hand and make references and talk to it or do wild stuff like hold it facing you or something like that. And like that's also pretty cool too. Like, it's a fairly little versatile piece for being what it is. And it really is just a simple little thing, but it really works, man. Mephisto messes with everything and with everyone and everything. He's more tied to Ghost Rider and his origin. Right. But he had a key role in the Infinity Gauntlet Saga storyline. I'm trying to remember that. I know I've read that. Has it been so long since that I just don't remember? I don't know. He's always infamously tied to Spider-Man because of that whole thing. Yes, he is. He has an infamous tie with Spider-Man now. Dr. Doom, yes, I knew that. Dr. Doom and him have some major beef in the comics as well. Yes. Have you checked out the new Frazetta Girls Motu-style Conan action figures? I did. They're very much built like old 80s figures. And because of that, being at 60, they kind of turned me off because they're like $40, $50, aren't they? Somewhere in there. I know they were high enough that like I was like, kind of, yeah, cool, but I don't know. And also, I don't really go. So like I buy Origins, but they have like a more modern articulation, and I want my figures to move. I have very, very, very few figures that are stuck in that old 1980s scale. Back up. We're just talking about stuff here. Like, I have the old Turtles over here, and they're stuck in that old, you know what I mean? Like, they just got that one, like that pose or whatever. I don't have a lot of figures that are built that way, and I don't really go out of my way to buy figures that are built that way. Though they are very cool looking. Like they're done very well. I understand why people would want them, and especially if you collect retro lines and you were very interested in figures that were built to that style, like Dragonor or something like that, these guys would fit in perfectly with that. Had they had at least Origins level articulation, like what they're doing with the Eternal Champions line, I bought that immediately. The Eternals Champions line is also around $40, $50, but it moves and will pose alongside the other Origins Motu figures that I have that I prefer. So that's where I gravitated towards. But I can fully understand the people that bought the Frazetta Icons ones, because I do see the appeal to them. Yeah, that looks way cooler than my repainted Snoop on a stoop chair. Is that 7 or 8 now? Because if it's 8 or more, you definitely need a chair shelf. I have the Zed throne. I have the Mephisto throne. I have the throne that came with with Lex Luthor. I bought him for the chair. I tossed out the Lex Luthor. I have the Aquilonian throne. Is that all my thrones? Do I have 4 chairs? If I go through with buying the bridge from Nacelle, which, oh man, I'm probably going to do that. I will also have the captain's chair. So I will be up to minimum 5 chairs. Oh, I have the Bone Throne for Skeletor. Technically twice, because I have an Origins Bone Throne that came with the with Snake Mountain. So currently I have 6 minimum. I will have 7 chairs. Wow, how did that happen? Like, it is crazy to me that just keeps happening. I keep ending up with like thrones. No, I have Necron's throne. I have anywhere from 7 to 8 thrones now, because I have Fire and Ice Necron throne. Dude, Necron and Mephisto are going to be sitting in chairs together. That's going to be sick. He's going, I just made that just made my decision. He's going on the Barbarian shelf. He's going on the Barbarian shelf, man. And maybe I need to do exactly what you said. Maybe I need to make a friggin', maybe need to have a sitting shelf. Just a shelf where guys are relaxing in the coolest chairs ever. That's so sick. Oh, man. I think you just got me. I think I'm doing that. I think I got to go digging tonight. I got to move some stuff around. It's like what I said last year. The throne is essential to a character like him. It's like Ghost Rider without a bike. It's cool, but simple. Put him on that bike, he's badass. The same thing for Mephisto. And I would agree. There are certain characters that feel off without the things that deserve to come with them. It has always been a thing for me, personally, that I have bought the Phoenix and always felt like it's not quite right, not quite there, not quite done, right? It always feels like there's a small piece of it missing until the most recent Phoenix, where they gave her the fire and it's a stand and it also comes with a bird and it's all on fire behind her and below her. Now she's complete. Now she looks like the best Phoenix figure we've ever got. She's really, really, really good. Then you have King Conan, which I bought by himself. He's nice. He works. He's fine. But there's something to be said for buying the Aquilonian throne and putting his royal Tobuscus down on that mug. That is just a different thing. Now he's the king. Now he sits a heavy crown upon a furrowed brow, a troubled brow on the throne, like he works now. Like, that is cool. He is now the king. It is something to have Red Sonja. But then when you take Red Sonja and you put her in one of those thrones, doing that classic pose where she's sitting there with like that one leg out and the other knee up or whatever, and she's got the sword and she's holding it. Now she cuts a completely different image, man. Like, she's a different thing. If you release a Ghost Rider and he's just a skeleton man, cool, sure, that's cool. But you give him that bike, now you just change the whole atmosphere. Skeletor is very cool. Skeletor sitting on the bone throne is an absolute instant icon shot. Lord Zed is cool. He was probably the coolest thing to come out of Power Rangers when I was a kid and was not surpassed personally to this day by anything I have ever witnessed or seen. Have I seen everything? No, but nothing has impressed me like Lord Zed. And case in point, anytime that they have brought Lord Zed back and made a big deal about it, I went back to Power Rangers to see it. And every time I have seen him, I have gone, I'm not impressed. Every time, because they try to make him cooler, and it doesn't work. I don't know what it is. They make him bigger, beefier. It doesn't work for me. They change him and make the metal like bigger and then change his faceplate. It doesn't work for me. Look, when you hit the icon moment, right off the bat, you hit the icon moment. And part of that moment was that the first time we ever seen him, he appeared in the throne. The throne turned around and there was that snake on him. And then he grabbed the snake and it turned into the Zed staff and he stood up. And like when he was in the throne and then like that stuff, like the blood and whatnot started pumping through those like hose things that were on him. And like the blood and whatnot was like running on the outside. That's so sick. And then like he stands up. That throne is part of that moment. The Zed throne is amazing. It's cool. I went out and bought it. Like, I loved it. Sometimes the accessory is exactly what is needed to finish the piece. And had they just sold Mephisto, as a guy, hey, here's Mephisto, here's $40, he has 2 different capes or whatever, enjoy. Cool. I'm sure he would have sold, and he would have sold at retail. But it would not have been the same. That throne is, it changes the atmosphere of what you bought. For me, as a Ghost Rider fan, he was high on my list. That throne reminds me of something that McFarlane would have done back in the early 2000s. I just love it, and it's probably my favorite so far. It's very cool. That'll probably change when I get the X-Men 97 Apocalypse, and I'm very curious to see what they're going to do with that, because so far, the made-to-order line is sick. It's very, very good. It's very, very cool. Folks aren't exactly swimming in options for Marvel's Mephisto in action figure form. Right. It's not cheap, but this is your option, and it's not a disappointment. You only live once. YOLO! Absolutely. Look, man. I'm sorry. I can justify this. And I've worked the overtime to deserve a Mephisto. I don't care. So I'm happy with it, okay? Absolutely. I'm fully justifying. I'd argue maybe it was best that Hasbro Engine of Vengeance failed. Because he was a part of that, and he didn't come with anything. I do remember that, yeah. That's how we were going to get him. It was going to be like him, Madeline Pryor, Goblin Queen. It was going to be, is his name Robbie Reyes? Is that right? Is that Ghost Rider? And then it was going to be his car, and it didn't fund or whatever. Yeah, I agree. This is definitely the better release. And, not for nothing, but if they're going to go out of the way to give us things that they were already kind of in main production of, right? Like they gave us him in that order thing. You think maybe there's a made-to-order Madeline Pryor Goblin Queen in the future that we could get that figure that we didn't get? Because that's the look that I want for her. Not the X-Men 97 one. I bought that because I liked it and I liked X-Men 97. But that is not the Madeline Pryor I want on my shelf. The spot is on the left side of one of the steps. It's probably this. There's like a small level divot. Neat. Hey, what's going on, man? Let's see. All I know is I'm so glad he's in my collection now, and he's rocking in his throne next to my classic 70s Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider. Very cool. And I finally seeing that one up close, it almost got a buy for me. It did not. But man, I was that close, man. I really, really was. Because seeing him in person and like the bike and everything like that it was very good. It was very, very good. Have you picked up the 80s Wonder Woman? I can't find one. I have went to 5 Walmarts, and I am crossing a Walmart every single time I go out. I'm purposely going to a Walmart right now, hoping to come across it. I've went to 5 different Walmarts, and I've checked almost every week. Ever since I heard this was even a thing, I've been going back to hopefully run into one. And as of yet, I have not found even one of those Wonder Women. I do want one. And I heard that the other form of it, the variant, the Platinum, is the DC 52 costume, basically. I wouldn't mind having that one, in all honesty. I liked the new 52 costume. I actually kind of liked it. It's not my favorite by any means, but I kind of liked the silver and the darker blue and the red and the silver. I kind of liked it. So I wouldn't mind that color scheme, in all honesty. I would definitely swap her head out for a different head if I got it, but that's neither here nor there. I actually would like it. I think it'd be cool. But yeah, I don't know. Like, My big thing with it, I just can't find one. I do want it. I haven't run into it anywhere. Bill is out here collecting throats like infinity gems. Conan share. Absolutely, man. New Fig Arts Jackie Chan comes with a stool. What? Wait a second. What? Hold on. Give me a second. I didn't even know that was a thing. Hold on a second. What? I didn't even know this was a thing. What? This is kind of wild. Yeah, I was unaware of this being a thing at all, and he does have a little stool. I see how. I mean, that's not even a question. I know why it's there. I've seen that movie, but that is wild. What? No, I don't need that. But now I am aware of its existence, and I certainly was not before. That is wild. Royal Tobuscus sounds like a Mad Max villain. Oh, man. Axelrod also gave him a personality like when Goldar came back and it didn't sound like Goldar. Right. And I would 100% agree with that. I think that voice, that personality, the inflection is very important. And I think that if you don't match it 100%, if you don't have an actor that comes in and learns the mannerisms and learns the inflection and learns where the little details of the voice go and things like that, then it will never be right. There is something to his body language that also creates Zed and makes him work. And if you don't have that when you bring him back, he feels like a cheap copy. He doesn't, like, yeah, hey, look, Zed is back. Is he, though? Is that even the same guy? Because it doesn't feel like the same guy. And that does kind of screw things up. I agree. I absolutely agree. That's correct. Robbie Reyes. Yeah, dude, they're also doing Sammy Home. Yeah, I saw that because in the picture that I saw, it had both of them standing next to each other. Like Jackie was kind of crouched in like a fighting pose and he was standing up behind him. That's kind of wild. Like, that's something I do not need to get into. Buying a bunch of martial arts guys for my shelf and piling them around my Bruce Lee. Oh, I spend money on enough stuff, guys. Let me have some money. Dang. Let's do this one. Archangel. 97. Archangel. This guy right here, a while back, one of the last things that we ever posted before we closed down Fandom Night, we were posting up an X-Men 90s series review where we went episode by episode. We talked about the episodes. We laughed about the goofiness of a Saturday morning cartoon, and we introduced it to adult scrutiny. It was never meant to it was never meant to stand up to, and had fun with it. I love the X-Men series. So don't take the videos seriously. We're being exaggeratory on purpose if you happen to go over and check them out. But while doing the X-Men 97, we come across this guy. And in the X-Men 97, man, not the X-Men 97, but the X-Men 90 series, we were doing a show called Comics Toss, and we were talking about the X-Men. His episode is wild, man. It is a wild episode to watch him sit around and complain about how terrible his life is, how awful it is. Like, and we just couldn't help it, man. We just couldn't help but, like, lay into the ridiculousness of it. I was like, you look like an angel. You're built like Jean-Claude Van Damme. You look like an underwear model. You have Fabio-level face features. You have fantastic golden locks. You can fly. I was like, you're rich. You're like oil empire rich. Like, I was like, life must just be so hard for you. Like, it's just, because the way they play it out, man, is wild. And then in that episode, like, Cable just comes in and starts shooting everywhere, and he's got like that gun and everything. It's just wild stuff, man. Like, it's so goofy going back to these old Saturday morning cartoons sometimes and being like, what is happening right now? Like, but it's fun. It's so much fun, especially if you're just willing to have fun with it and just take it for what it is. Archangel is one of those things that he was sold on the way he looked. He was. I'm going to tell you something right now. Most people that got into comic books sometime in the 90s, most people, they know nothing, regardless of how much they like to act like they do. They know nothing about this or what led to it. Nothing. I would argue, most anybody that was growing up in the 90s picked up X-Men books. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this. We all start somewhere. You have to start reading at some point. And when you have a legacy that's 40-something years old, you got to jump in at some point. People don't start at the beginning. Comic books aren't designed that way. But if you jumped in during the 90s, you saw some really cool art, something that looked neat. You jumped in, you started reading. This guy shows up. You were immediately like, oh, dude, he's got metal wings and he's shooting blades everywhere and he looks cool and he's like purple and like this reddish color and like, oh, dude, he's so sick. And that was pretty much the basis for people getting into Archangel. And to call myself out, same. I started reading X-Men comics. My very first X-Men comic ever was bought at a Piggly Wiggly grocery store. Yes, dead serious. I would help my grandma. We would go shopping. If I carried things like the sodas and stuff like that she wasn't supposed to be carrying, I would load up the car and things like that. I would get a comic book. Or I would get like one of those top flight or whatever, those top cards, you know, those top decks. I would get like the collector's cards or something like that. No, stop, camera. We're talking about X-Men here. Calm down. During that time, the first X-Men comic I ever got was the X-Men versus the Hellfire Club, where Wolverine gets put through the floors at the end, and then he comes up and grabs the pipes, and he's like, you took your best shot, bub. Now it's my turn. And he pops the claws. And then the next book I read was him going through the Hellfire Club, fighting his way back up there to release everybody. That was where I started X-Men. It was the first 2 books I ever read. Then, and those were called X-Men Classics at the time. That was the books that I bought, those 2 books. Then I was like interested in X-Men, so I started buying X-Men. Well, it's like the 90s. And so I'm getting like X-Men comics where there's like Psylocke, and for some reason like Sabretooth is 9 sizes too big. It's too big. His foot is like the size of all Psylocke. It's ridiculous. I don't know what was going on in that era where people were like so large or whatever that they can't even fit in regular human domiciles, but it was a thing, okay? Like he's all chained up and everything. And he's like in there and like, he's got like these big neck braces and all these chains on him or whatever. He's like they're prisoners or something. Psylocke walks in and there's this image where she's standing in front of him and he's like, just like this tower of a man that is the entire back wall. And I'm like, what is this guy? What is this? Who is she? I like her. And then like, she ends up fighting him and everything. And she does beat him. This gets complicated. In a one-on-one fight without some comic book interference BS, she wins that fight because she not only survives long enough to fight him real hardcore, but she actually gets to a point where she gets her hand against his head and even puts the psionic blade through his skull, and he should be done. That should be it. It should be over. She wins the fight. But then, because comic books are comic books, he's like, oh, bad news, love. Ever since the runt put his claws through my head or whatever, brain ain't quite worked like it used to. And then he ends up beating her. And I remember even then being like, wait, so you have to believe her weapon can work for her weapon to work? So that, how does that work? Does that mean, because she's like a ninja, if she were to like psychic blade you from behind, but you don't know that she did that, so you don't necessarily believe that she did that, does the blade not, how does that work? Like, I remember being very lost even as a kid. Like, how does that power make any freaking sense? Look, I got a blade. You believe this blade, right? Okay, because it's coming for you. Like, you got to warn people before you fight them. Okay, these are my powers and these are how they work, okay? All right, now do you understand? Because I'm gonna need them to affect you, so I need you to believe in the power of my psionic blades. I remember being so lost at that one book that I read, and back then there was no like Wikipedia or whatever. I couldn't like go look her powers up. I couldn't learn her backstory. I didn't know what was going on. She looked cool. She was a ninja. I loved the outfit. I really did. I'm not just speaking from ooh. I actually really loved her design. I think that is iconic. Peak Psylocke, and I don't think they've ever done better. She's had other good outfits, but that is peak Psylocke. That's the reason I wanted her on the shelf. She's right there. She's beautiful. She's one of my favorite Marvel Legends ever released. She's fantastic. I love her. She's on the shelf. Icon look. I really do believe that. And so, like, here I am reading these books, and I do come across a book where this guy shows up. He's kind of like a purple and pinkish color. He's got this crazy face going on. He's flying everywhere. He has metal wings. They call him Archangel. He shoots blade feathers. This dude is sick. Like, holy crap, this dude is cool. Look, guys, we all start somewhere in comics. And if I was to tell you that I liked Archangel because I liked his storyline, that he started as an X-Man, and then he went through the years, and then some stuff happened, and then because of these situations, he ended up not really an X-Man, and then this kind of happened, and then, of course, Apocalypse gets a hold of him, and then he becomes one of the Four Horsemen, and yada yada. None of that meant anything to me. I saw a cool guy with cool wings, and cool sharp feather blades. I was sold. It was that easy. I have argued on this channel multiple times that I do not care for the 90s edge thing because I grew up with it and I'm all edged out. That's true. However, I can never escape the fact that I started comics because I'm born in the 80s, but late enough in the 80s that I was not reading and really living and doing things that like could be like fandom related until the 90s, maybe even mid 90s, if you want to be fair about it. I mean, I'm 42. In 1990, I was 6. You get the idea? Like, so by the time I'm like 10 years old, it's already like 94. By the time I'm 12, and I'm old enough to really care, I'm going to my grandma's and whatnot, I'm out in the country, I'm reading comics, I'm watching old TV, like, and I'm old enough to really comprehend, or at least fundamentally understand most of it that's being exposed to me. It's 96. Some of the edge got me. That has never left my mind. Psylocke has never left my mind. Zed has never left my mind. There are 90s edge cool things that do stick with me. The image of Spawn comics, that stays with me. The image of reading things like Wizard, and they would pack in things like Vampirella comic books, that never left me. These are images that stick in my mind that I didn't know exactly what they were when I was exposed to them, but now it's the way that I see them, and it's always the way I will see them. And there is a 90s edge to that has never left me. Sometimes I still do prefer the 90s look of certain characters. I like Spider-Man with the big eyes. That was a thing when I was growing up. I like it. Like, little things like that do catch my attention, and I know they're left over from that era that I continually criticize. He's part of it. He's part of it. So I've always wanted an Archangel for the shelf. I had one years and years and years ago, back in very early toys. Like, we're talking like in the 90s. I had that one. And it wasn't a Marvel Legends. It was like a Toy Biz, like very old toy. Like, you see that Wolverine down there? It was like that era. And I had him, and I loved him, and I thought he was absolutely cool. And he was like one of the coolest guys. And then, of course, I lost him over the years, grew up, things happen. There's actually a video on the channel called What It's Like to Be a 40-Year-Old Collector, and I talk about losing figures, gaining figures, leaving some things behind, putting things in storage, moving. I talk about all these things about like how I was into the hobby, then I got out of the hobby because of certain things that were going on, then I had certain things that I was doing that never led me back in, and then at one point I came back into the hobby and just kind of like, it's actually a pretty vast video that talks about what it's like to grow up in toys, leave toys and come back to toys, and the reasons that we kind of do these things. It's and why I understand the kind of stigma that's connected to some of it and things like that, and why I felt the way I did at different points in my life, and why I feel the way I do now about certain things and certain points in my life. It's a pretty big video. Shameless self-promotion, but I do think it's worth a listen. It's got a lot in there that talks about these kinds of situations and why my mind is the way that it is with this kind of stuff. So I've seen this guy over and over and over again in other collections, the Marvel Legends, the other versions of him. And I really did think about it. And I almost bought the X-Force version. Black, silver, red, black, gray, red, whatever. That's a proven color scheme. It works. It looks very cool. But I know this is going to sound very almost hypocritical, but it goes back to that thing. I don't need an overly edgy, cool, black and gray and red like version of him. I just want the one that I grew up with, the purple, pinkish one. I want this. But that was costing some money. And I almost paid it. I was that close, I really was. I was looking at one. I'd passed on the X-Force one. And seeing that the X-Force one was out there, it made me kind of feel like, man, is it time to buy an Angel? Like, I do want one. Maybe I'll look at my options. I go looking, I find a couple online. Some of them are not that bad. They're older figures, yes, but they'll work for what I need them to be. Is it worth it, though? X-Men 97 is currently playing. They just made a new Angel body. They have to do another one, right? They have to, right? I'll wait. And we've had this argument on here a couple of times, conversation to be fair, is do you buy Scorpion or do you wait because they're going to make another? Do you get that Wolverine? Do you buy the next Rogue? Or do you know that if that isn't the one that speaks to you, you can just wait because it's coming back? Like, these are characters that you will get again and again and again. So just wait for the one that actually speaks to you and buy the one that matters. And maybe it takes a couple of years, but maybe don't buy a placeholder for the shelf. Well, on this particular moment, I took my own advice and I said, don't buy it. They just made the X-Force one. That is a new body. They love to reuse things. It's coming. Just wait. X-Men 97 runs its course. X-Men 97 figures come out. X-Men 97 figures sell pretty well. Everything's looking good. They announce a classic version. Is he perfect? No. One could argue the face is not 100% what I want because it is very much the animation face. But also one could argue it doesn't bother me that bad. If at all, if you want the truth of it. He looks like he belongs in the X-Men 97. I have X-Men 97 figures. This guy looks really cool. The wings look great. The design is basically spot on to exactly what I wanted. Perfect. Now, taking my own advice, we're going to wait on Jubilee. I don't want Jumpsuit Jubilee. I don't. She's fine, but that's more based on her time as a vampire, and like, I was never truly that into Vampire Jubilee. I do, however, want 90s mall kid Jubilee. I very much want that figure. I know there are options out there. I've almost jumped on them. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait, and I'm going to bide my time, and I'm going to hope I get the Jubilee I want. I almost bought that other Jubilee that came out recently. I can't remember what company made her, but she looked pretty good. Like, she was real close to getting my attention. I didn't. I'm going to wait it out. I'm looking for the Jubilee that I want. She needs to have the yellow coat. She needs to have, the pink, the shorts. She needs to have the gloves. She needs to come with hands that do the actual effects. She needs the glasses. I'd love if she had the bubble gum. Go ahead and sell her with something stupid, like a little cup or something, like like a cup so she can hang out at the mall or something. But like, I almost bought that Mayfix. I mean, I was this. Because she's basically exactly what I want, but I was scared about how she would scale and how she would move. After seeing a couple of reviews, it looks like she moves well enough that it's not really a problem. It also tends to look like, because she's Mayfix and Mayfix scales small, Jubilee was small. So it doesn't feel like it matters. It feels like she goes right in there on the X-Men shelf with no real problem, because Jubilee should scale small, right? Just sitting here talking myself into a figure I don't need right now. Let's open this guy. Okay, well, I didn't realize that I did not mute the mic, so that whole thing was just a bunch of cracking and popping and whatever, but hey, whatever. So, we have Angry Face. There he is. He's angry. Grr. We have sad, I'm so beautiful face. Oh man, being beautiful is just so hard. Rich and beautiful and ripped. This life is hard. He gets 2 expression hands. He gets a trigger finger hand for his gigantic cable gun that I'm not going to have him use ever. So that thing is pointless. Give me that hand. Stupid. Here's your expression hand. Okay, have an expression hand. Come out here with your hand and put it up and tell people, recite Shakespeare. Here, I even got a skull for you. You could be all to be or not to be. Get this skull in your hand. There. There you go. See? Now you're like thinking. Look at that. That's perfect. I might use that skull a lot more than I think, actually. You can brood. You can brood very well. Look at that. Oh my God, you brood harder than Batman. Your neck is broken, sir. He can look way up, which is fantastic, actually, because he's going to fly, so that's actually a good thing. He'll work, man. Absolutely. His color scheme and everything seems on point. His body seems fine. Could we argue he should be thinner? Is that an argument to have? Does that actually matter? Does anybody think he should be skinnier? I don't know. I think this is fine. I think this works. I don't think I have a problem with any of it. Okay, I gotta figure out his wings. So he comes with this, which is actually cool. He's got these 2 pegs in his back, and that can go on there. So if he's sitting on your shelf and you don't want him to take up a bunch of space, he's got this. The wings have not actually flecked out yet. That's actually pretty cool. I like that they did this. I think it's a cool option. If I can get him on my shelf, full wings, I'm gonna do it. So there's that too. Oh my. Okay, so this, I'm pretty sure, goes like this. Yes, I'm almost 100% sure that I got that correct. Boy, I guess I'll know when it doesn't work. I don't think these are too tough to disconnect though either. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. There, I got his wings. I'm pretty sure this just plugs in here. And this plugs in here. Ooh, almost dropped his wing. Almost dropped him. Did not drop him. Almost dropped him. There. He has this, which then plugs in to both of these. Which, that's neat. But I also think that it does cause a hindrance. It forces the wings to stay just like that. And if you're flying around or whatnot, you're not going to see his back anyway. Not having them on allows you to do things like put the wing up so that he can block something or whatever. So he can put that wing up while this one is casting out or something, where he blocks and he flies. And then he can have this one wrapped all the way around him like a shield. So you can create something like this, or like that even. That's cool. So it does have that back piece, and that's good if he's standing and you want to see him with everything spread out from the back. But realistically, the wings offer you movement when they're like this. And that is where they come from. You can put them out, so it allows a range of motion where he can be out like this. And then there's a separate range of motion because of the hinges right here. So I think you can get a lot out of these wings. I think still, the best wings I've seen, and I have not had a chance to mess with the other angel's wings. Because there is still an angel that has the angel wings, the feather wings, and I've got to see him. I've never got to handle him. So the best wings I've experienced still go to Hawkgirl McFarlane. But these are good. Much better than what I grew up with. If you'll remember the kinds of wings that we grew up with, they were not impressive, to say the very least. This is cool. It works for me. I don't think I'm going to have any kinds of problems with it. And then even like I said, if you want something like this, now putting him on the shelf, he's going to have to go in the back of the shelf. So when I do a mild rearrange of things, because I want his wings out. So he's going to be in the back of the shelf against the wall with his wings open as much as I can get them. And then I will form people around him and whatnot. Like I might have him stand behind Xavier's chair. So his wings are big and coming down, and the Xavier's chair kind of like off a little bit to the side, probably about right here. And that might be how I get him onto my shelf, because that is a major wingspan. You could wear this dude like a hat. So that's a pretty big, crazy wingspan. It will take real space on your shelf. For some of us, this is going to make a lot more sense. I still have room in my collection space to where I'm pretty sure that I can work around it and find a way to keep his wings open. I want them to be open. It just feels right. It feels so cool to have them like that. Even if I have to do something like where I kind of have him down on the on like his knee or whatever, like where they're kind of wrapped around him or something, maybe that could be cool, but we'll see. Very, very cool. I like him. Added to the shelf. I might switch him to this head though. This somber face thing isn't necessarily isn't speaking to me, but we'll see. Very cool. This gun is pointless. By the way, Bill, we may be getting Player 2 variants or Gamerverse related stuff at Comic-Con from Hasbro, because Dwight was on vacation and had one of those pink eyeballs for Shumagorath. Cool. Would that convince me to buy anything? I don't know. I imagine if they do that, this is going to be my thought process. If they release another, say, Psylocke, they'll put her in black. That's what I think they'd do. I think that would make the most sense. I think they'd probably get people that would want her for their X-Force shelf or whatever. And if they release the Gamerverse variant in black, they would get that one to sell off the shelf again. I think that one would work. And anybody that missed out on her or just wants a different color scheme, I'm positive that will sell. Next, Wolverine. Will they change him into the brown? Will they do that? Would that be their Player 2? It wouldn't be a true brown suit Wolverine, but it might catch people's attention enough if they do the brown. Or stick with me here. Listen to me. If you really want to be ridiculous here, you release Gamerverse Wolverine. Bone Claws. Because in the video game, you had the Bone Claws version. We don't have a Bone Claws of him. They didn't bring him like that. They gave him only the claws. Do you release him again? But not in a 2-pack, but in a single pack as a special variant, Bone Claw Wolverine, and you resell the Gamerverse Wolverine? Would that sell? If that's the only difference, Bone Claws, that's it. Would it sell? I have a feeling it might. Some of the people that even already have that Wolverine might be interested in that. What do you do for War Machine and whatnot? Do you make him blue? Maybe. Captain America and Venom. You don't re-release that Venom in black because it's really just the same Venom that we already have. So I don't think that works. You don't release that Venom again in black. We've got that. But then again, he's become tough to find. Do they do that because it helps them sell? I don't know what they do for the Captain America. I don't know which color scheme you would pick. Because there was like 8 colors or whatnot for every guy, wasn't there? If I remember right. Yeah, I'm not sure. Those are some of my thoughts on that idea. I think that changing the colors probably sells these figures again. Like, look, they were good figures. There's no way around it, man. They were solid figures, so I don't see that they wouldn't sell again. I really don't. Mafex, yes. Absolute, dude. Every time I look at that, I'm like, dude, she looks good. I even see where people are pairing her up with skateboards. Oh, that is so Jubilee. Dude, that's a good figure. That's a $90 Jubilee, though. One could argue Marvel Legends sooner or later will release a classic Jubilee. Probably be almost just as good. The big argument with the Jubilees and Gambits that get released, though, is that Marvel Legends needs to start figuring out that some of these characters need cloth goods. We should be getting a cloth good coat for Gambit and Jubilee by this point, and there should be no excuse for that. And we know, by the way, that when it comes to Maximum Gambit, that's when they're going to do it. Put it out there. But because that coat is a pretty big deal, man. That coat on that Mafex looks good. Mafex? Mafex? How am I supposed to say? I always say Mafex. Sometimes I do say Mafex, though, because I'm not 100% sold on either one. Need to pick him up. I don't have an Angel for the display. He looks neat. He's pretty good, man. For what he is, and I didn't expect anything extraordinary out of him, I think he's pretty good. You don't have classic Angel? Bill. My dad has him, and the wings on that one are pretty good. Yes, like I've seen him at conventions. They're still charging like $80-something for him. And he's the thing that stopped me. If they'd have said, hey, here's a first class Angel, that fast, you'd have had me. No doubt in my mind. But I've never really been a big fan of X Factor costumes. I've never really been a big fan of most of the Angel costumes, if you want the truth of it. Like the red with the weird like halo symbol or whatever. And that wasn't, for a while, that was not even Angel. It was a dude named Mimic or whatever, wasn't it? X-Men is complicated. To the point where sometimes I forget and even mix up its own continuity with other stuff that I know, regardless of how much X-Men I've read, because it's just such a mess. But like, yeah, that makes me, yeah. This one is good. If they would do a first-class variant, if they would release a whole set of first-class X-Men, I would be on board for that. Like that. I'd buy the whole wave. Here's hoping that with an X-Men 97 Beast coming out, maybe we have the chance that they'll reuse part of him for a humanoid body Beast, and we'll get a human Beast, and they'll do a first class, because the Angel that they gave us with the first class X-Men, the all-new X-Men pack, is trash. It's one of the worst figures on my shelf. In fact, I think he actually made I have a collection, like a series of videos, and one of those videos was like 5 worst Marvel Legends in my collection or something like that, and he made it on there. He's trash. What movie Superman or Batman makes my shelf? Michael Keaton, Batman, of course. And he makes it both variants of him. Not the newest one. The one that appears in The Flash and things like that. That's fine. They can keep that. But the two Michael Keaton Batman, I would like one bat flick, a really good bat flick. I would. I haven't bought one yet. I think I've had 4 or 5 opportunities, but I never buy one. And Christian Bale second movie suit. Those make it for me. Superman, Christopher, no question. Brandon, he's on the shelf, no question. He makes it. I need time with Corn Sweat. And I don't like his costume. But I also didn't like Brandon's costume, and he made the shelf. So you see where I'm going with that. There is a possibility that if I seen the brighter colored variant, Henry Cavill, if I saw that, the brighter costume variant, he might make the shelf. But every time I go to the store, the only ones I ever see are the dark costume variants, or like the black one, or like the laser eyes one that they're doing right now, and none of those really appeal to me. So that's probably my answer. And I doubt any of the television series figures make my shelf, realistically. Gamerverse Bone Claw Wolverine? Who'd buy it? This guy here. I'd buy it in a heartbeat. That's what I was actually kind of figuring there has to be. That's not an. People would complain, oh, it's basically 100% reuse with different hands. Yeah. I get that. Sometimes we have to call ourselves out as putzes, because I might do that as well. I really like that Gamerverse Wolverine. You tell me I could have another Gamerverse Wolverine for my shelf, but with the bone claws? I almost hate to admit it, but I would probably do it. I would probably buy that, especially if they released it by itself. By itself. Like, not in a pack again, by itself. I would probably jump on that. I did this as if those were the two figures, but it was him and him, but regardless. Yeah. I would buy a Superman and Lois Superman. I like him. I do. I guess I'd have to see him. If they're gonna give me that Fletcher costume one, oh, I'll buy that. I'll buy that mug twice. I'll buy him twice. Dude, I love that costume so much. Oh, you know what I'd buy in a second if they released the KC inspired Superman Brandon? Second. No question at all. Friggin', they'd say, hey Bill, we got it. I'm sorry, I was busy buying what you were introducing. You go on. Like, yeah. Oh, unbelievable. Well, okay, guys. I know we've only opened literally like 2 figures and then talked about stuff. I get it. Look, it's the 4th of July stuff. I got another cookout I have to attend, another gathering and whatnot with my dad today. This has been a busy, busy weekend. Like, absolutely. It really has. It's worth it though. Saw my mom, see my dad. I saw the other side of the family and whatnot. Things are going pretty good. It's nice to kind of reconnect with a bunch of people and things like that. So I'm going to get off of here. Go enjoy the rest of the holiday. You guys have a good time. Hope you enjoyed your holiday. And keep collecting. What else are we doing, right? I'm going to get out of here, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Later on.